hard-fought and ultra-competitive Avon Tyres National Formula 4 Championship for 2019 concludes the season back at Brands Hatch on the Indy circuit this weekend. Champion Ross Martin has elected not to race, but there's still some familiar names including Joey Foster and Luke Cooper back on the grid, and the three Cliff Dempsey drivers battling for second and third in the championship. As for Ross, well, he's just here to enjoy the occasion.
Ross Martin, it's been a hard trying year. You've been harassed all year by the competitors. 8 wins in the season of 2019. It leaves you with the championship. Congratulations.
Yeah, I'm over the moon. I mean, what a season. It's been a long season, but it's nice to come here. Obviously, I'm not in my race gear, and unfortunately, I'm not racing, but yeah, I mean, a tremendous year. I mean, I went into the year planning and winning it, but, you know, you keep that in the back of your mind, but you always think about it. But the consistency was key. You know, I had a lot of wins, but again, the podium results and the top fives were important, but a lot of DNF at Anglesey meant that, you know, I could potentially miss this round if I had a good Silverstone, and yeah, Silverstone went well, very well, and fortunately we managed to come away with the win.
Yeah. Well, what were your thoughts early on in the season? Because the first 5 races were won by 5 different drivers. You were the first one to get a double win, and that sort of set you on your way.
Yeah, start of the season was consistent, but again, no wins. But after Anglesey, you know, we had a really good points haul there, and even with the DNF, I felt as though this season could come alive. But Croft was a game changer. I mean, that was a fully committed weekend, and I took a full points haul. So for me, Croft turned it for me, and again, I never turned back my head after that.
And race number 1 here at Croft is underway. Decent start from the front row of the grid. James Clark already grabbing again to try and take the lead from Ross Martin on the sprint down towards Clairvaux. Looking down the outside of the Scotsman, that's Spike Colbecker battling in 3rd place with a good start from row 2. Meanwhile, at the front of the field, a dominant performance from Ross Martin. He claims race 1 at Croft, but there's been no contact and no trouble whatsoever for this man. Ross Martin does the double. He's going to go for race number 3 later on this afternoon, but Martin takes a clean sweep of the first 2 races, but the checkered flag awaits for a dominant and fantastic performance all weekend from Ross Martin.
And you're in a rich vein of form at the moment, moving forward to the Formula 4 Festival. How do you think you're going to get on there?
Yeah, I mean, I'm going in a car. It's got a lot of history here. It's won it a few times, and obviously I've been fasty in the past, but I'm really looking forward to it. I mean, coming in as the championship winner, there's a bit of pressure, but it's not like a championship I have to win. You know, I don't have to be consistent in the final. You know, you got to go out and you got to wheel bang. But again, the race is going to be clean, it's going to be respectful, and the drivers are going to be in it are going to be so hard to beat. But again, you don't have to finish second. You're all about winning the festival.
Yeah, your name wants to be on that board in the Kensington, doesn't it?
Definitely, that's the plan.
All right, well, good luck for the festival, and go and enjoy the championship win.
Yeah, well, thank you very much, guys. Cheers.
With the championship sewn up, there's still plenty of great racing to be had as the cars line up for race 1 here at Brands Hatch. Luke Cooper and Joey Foster on the front row of the grid together from Michael Eastwell and Rory Smith on row 2, then Cole Beckett and Jonathan Brown on row 3, James Clark and returnee Chris Middlehurst on row 4, then Jamie Sharp and Max Maserati. Then Michael McPherson and Morgan Quinn, Scott Huntley and John Svensson, Kenneth Cowie and Pascal Monbaron, and then Adam Quartermain round out the 17 cars. There's still the Clubman Class Championship to be contested. That's between Svensson and Quartermain, so watch for them throughout the rest of the weekend. Well, after 7 very long, arduous race weekends, it's back to Brands Hatch here as a prelude for the Formula Ford Festival. Hopefully we can see some racing which will equal that of the October Classic in a month's time. Underway for race 1, it's a strong start for Luke Cooper as they make their way off the grid for the first time. Here's Rory Smith's view, almost being boxed in with Cooper to his right and Foster to his left, and Foster takes the high line into Paddock Hill Bend, but he can't hold on, goes over the curbs, and that now allows Smith up the hill and up the inside into 2nd place, unless Foster can outbrake everyone into Druids, which he tries to do. This is the view from Jamie Sharp. That's Max Maserati off to the left, drifting wide at Druids, and they pile down towards Graham Hill Bend for the first time. Cooper leads. Smith does go round the outside at Graham Hill Bend for 2nd place. Foster into 3rd. We're on board with Spike Colbecker. Now he effectively does have 2nd place in the championship wrapped up, but he just needs 3 good results here this weekend to make that happen. On board with Joey Foster. He knows this place incredibly well, having won 2 festivals in the past, back in 2003 and as recent as 2017. But he races in the Furman chassis. He was in a Ray that year when he won his 2nd festival. And certainly warming up for the 2019 edition as they sweep past the pits for the end of lap 1. Smith taking a look for the lead up the inside of Luke Cooper. And Luke making his first appearance in the National Formula 4 Championship this year. He's mainly raced in the Castle Coombe Formula Fords and also won races here earlier in the season in the Champion of Brands contest. So certainly knows this place like the back of his hand almost as much as his local circuit, Castle Coombe. But certainly making the most of the opportunity as one of the Cliff Dempsey cars looks like Spike Colbecker trying to steal the march on Michael Eastwell. Back on board with Joey Foster, looking at the gearbox of Rory Smith. And Rory, of course, has been a race winner this year. Won the first race at Snetterton, the very first race of the season, and also won a race last time out at Silverstone. So he really has graduated from being a regular northern competitor all the way up to national level, and it certainly is serving him well. Quick on board shot with Colbecker as the top three come back down the Jack Brabham straight to end the lap. And back onto another one as Smith again takes a tighter line into Paddock Hill Bend to try and make the move on Luke Cooper. They sweep down the hill and then rise back up again to the crest at the top at Druids. Battle on for fourth as Spike Colbecker looks to the outside of Michael Eastwell. But the Spectrum driver holds on for Kevin Mills Racing and maintains the place. It's almost a sea of red and white in the first few positions. But the odd one out is Michael Eastwell with the white and blue Kevin Mills Racing prepared Spectrum. It's good to see the Spectrums continuing to race here in the UK. They are more of a frequent chassis over from Australia, which Formula Ford is still very prominent, but usually in the UK you don't really see them too much. So out now through the right hand of Clark Curve and onto the pit straight once again. Still Cooper leads the way, Smith in second place, Foster in third, followed by Eastwell fourth. Colbecker still remaining in the top five. We're on board with Jonathan Brown. He's battling away with his Cliff Dempsey teammate James Clark. Now these two are the main contenders, battling for third place in the championships. They've got to be careful, and they're both coming under threat from Chris Middlehurst. Right behind them in car number 2, he's a festival regular, of course son of former BTCC racer and saloon car champion Andy Middlehurst, and showing his class as he looks up the inside. Can't quite get past Jonathan Brown quite yet, and here comes Jamie Sharp in the Team Dolan number 89. We're on board with him now. He knows this circuit pretty well too, having completed now his second season of National Formula Ford racing, but at the same time he has also competed here in British F4 a couple of years, and that familiar sort of deep red and black number 89 livery sort of resplendent on the Van Diemen chassis. Here is Rory Smith again, looking to the outside to try and snatch the lead away from Luke Cooper as they head into Paddock Hill Bend. Looks to the outside of the number 6, but can't get through. And there goes Joey Foster up the inside into second place. That was a crucial move. Joey Foster caught him off guard as once again Michael Eastwell goes defensive, forcing Colbecker to go deep on brakes on the outside line of Druids, but again slots in behind to take 5th position. And now the 3 Cliff Dempsey cars are all together in a line. So Colbecker leads the way in the Cliff Dempsey charge, then it's James Clark, and then Jonathan Brown. And there, look at that, the top 8 or 9 cars all together in a pack as they come up out of Cooper Straight, through Surtees, and into McLaren, right at the top of the circuit, up at the apex at Clearways. Then they swing through Clark Curve, flat out down the Jack Brabham Straight, and that completes another lap here at the Indy circuit. Look at this, fantastic in the sunshine here. Maybe late September, doesn't mean that the weather can't be great. It's brilliant conditions here this weekend for the final rounds of the National Formula Ford Championship. Fingers crossed we do get similar weather for the festival. But sometimes we have had mixed conditions, as yet again Colbecker forcing Eastwell to take that defensive line into Druids. He's going to keep up the attack and hopefully try and force Eastwell to crack under pressure. But Eastwell has been superb ever since he came back at the Kirkistown rounds in Northern Ireland. As we go back on board with Jonathan Brown, he's giving his teammate James Clark a bit of a helpful push down the back straight. They come into Surtees, up the hill, over the curbs, and again taking that wide approach to get the undercut through Clark Curve as Rory Smith takes a tighter line through the apex. That might have compromised his speed a little bit as Joey Foster keeps his foot down and keeps Luke Cooper in his sights. They come back across the stripe once again. The 2 Cliff Dempsey cars battling over 6th and 7th place, practically nose to tail, almost touching gearbox to nose. Jonathan Brown keeps on harassing his teammate as now this time Spike Colbecker looks to the inside, but Michael Eastwell throws the block once more and prevents the young American from getting through. Spike Colbecker has been a fantastic find for National Formula Ford. He joined the championship at the beginning of the season with Cliff Dempsey Racing. He's raced these similar cars on what they call F1600, which are similar Formula Ford chassis but with different 1600cc engines. He's raced them in Canada, raced them in New Zealand, been successful there. He certainly has been pretty successful here this season in National Formula Fords, and hopefully he will go on to great success like many other Americans that have raced in the UK in Formula Fords have gone to do in the past. You see the top 5 breaking away now from this scrap for 6th, which is now being joined by Chris Middlehurst and Jamie Sharp. As here comes Jonathan Brown, the Irishman, diving up the inside of James Clark, who looks for the undercut on the exit as Brown leaves the door open on the approach to Druids. The 2 teammates going side by side. Watch for Chris Middlehurst in the number 2, coming round the outside to make a move. But Clark squeezes his way back up the inside line. They do go wheel to wheel. I think Cliff Dempsey will be watching through his hands at this action, but these two are free to battle for the championship for 3rd place in the points. And James Clark, of course, still waiting for that first ever National Formula Ford victory. He's come close on several occasions. Just keeps on missing out due to technical problems or accident damage or anything else that might be the issue. And now Chris Middlehurst reminding everyone exactly why he's a prominent Formula Ford racer. He's been on the podium in the festival more than one occasion. And Jamie Sharp also showing his worth as well as they come down the pit straight. This is now the battle for 6th, 7th, 8th and 9th as Colbecker finally makes the move up the inside of Michael Eastwell to take 4th position. That was a key move. That puts Eastwell down to 5th. Colbecker now has his first chance of trying to get past any of the top 3. So there's Spike in car number 5, the red and white car, being tailed by Michael Eastwell as they turn their way through the left-hander at Graham Hill Bend and down Cooper Straight once again. Still Luke Cooper in the lead, the predominantly red car with the white nose. And it's the all-red car of Joey Foster in 2nd place. Robbie Smith with the white graphics on his red Medina Sport chassis in 3rd place. And here's that scrap for 4th as they come past the pit entry, through Clark Curve and back onto the Jack Brabham Straight once more. So Michael Eastwell keeping in the tow. And again, these guys will be using this as practice for the Formula Ford Festival. Of course, it's the traditional knockout championship where you've got the heats first of all. Foster lining up Luke Cooper for a move, possibly down to the inside line. But again, Cooper was wise to that and through the block. He's a little slow to the complex. Oh, he's tapped the back of Luke Cooper and round he goes. Round goes Joey Foster in the middle of the road facing backwards. And the 2-time festival champion is in trouble at the bottom of Paddock Hill Bend. Meanwhile, round the outside goes Rory Smith, goes Michael Eastwell. So that's Eastwell now up to what should be 2nd place. Or 3rd if you count the fact that Foster's dropped behind. Now this also has brought both of the Cliff Dempsey cars that were chasing after their teammate into play because they're on the back of Rory Smith. So it's all changed pretty quickly. It now puts, looks to me as if it's Cooper in the lead, and then it's going to be, there's Cooper, there's Eastwell into 2nd place, Smith in 3rd, 4th place now for Spike Colbecker, and 5th place it looks to me possibly for James Clark by the looks of it. So down the pit straight. Back towards Paddock Hill Bend. Smith has to go very defensive on the inside line as Colbecker mounts another attack, but he knows he has to get past Smith to start chasing after Eastwell, and he's looking back up the inside once again on the approach to Druids, and here comes up the inside. Looks to me as if that's Jonathan Brown. It is Jonathan Brown. So James Clark has dropped back after that pass earlier on. And once again, the 2 Cliff Dempsey cars are going to go into combat here into Paddock Hill Bend. Or Graham Hill Bend, forgive me. Down the back straight once again. But what all this does is it does give Luke Cooper a little bit of a breathing space here because he was under a lot of pressure into Paddock Hill Bend. I think there was a bit of contact. I think the nose of Joey Foster's car just tagged the rear of the gearbox of Luke Cooper's Swift Cooper chassis, and I think as a result of that, Cooper was very lucky to get away with that without spinning. Foster was the one that came off worse, and now you can see the gap that Cooper has. And he tries to extend his advantage here in this first race of the weekend. Back on board with Jonathan Brown, working away at the wheel through the apex of Paddock Hill Bend and under the bridge back into Druids, this tight 180-degree hairpin that is uphill on its approach, it's downhill on its exit. You tumble your way down towards Graham Hill Bend. Little twitch of oversteer there as Colbecker just kicks the rear out under braking as he pitches the car left through Graham Hill. Now Jonathan Brown keeping up that pursuit as they turn in through Surtees once more. Jonathan Brown doing everything he needs to do at the moment to try and pick up 3rd place in the championship. James Clark will be losing points behind him after he's dropped severely back. So this top 5 group is pretty much in a class of its own. Cooper's up the road by a few seconds. Someone's getting a black and white flag for track limits or for driving standards. Either way, Jonathan Brown putting on the attack and he spins at Paddock Hill Bend. So Paddock Hill claims another victim and Jonathan Brown is off into the gravel trap. And I may have spoken too soon about Jonathan Brown getting the advantage over James Clark because that certainly has seen Brown's advantage completely evaporate. So now it's a battle for 3rd place between Rory Smith and Spike Colbecker. It's all good news for Colbecker because he will certainly maintain his 2nd place in the championship. We're on board with him now. Still staring at the gearbox of Rory Smith as they turn through Surtees, in through McLaren. They do clearways at the top of the complex. And then this little kink of Clark Curve to take them back onto the straight. Luke Cooper appears to be away and gone. So no problems for Luke at the moment. 2nd place still for Eastwell. The last lap board goes out for the leaders. So So one more time around the Indy circuit for Luke Cooper, who remains in the lead. And how great would it be to seal this victory in his first appearance in the championship? Haven't seen him since the festival last year in the BRSCC competition. Driving like he's never been away. Despite Colbecker continues the relentless assault on Rory Smith. But here is Luke Cooper. Great start from pole position. Was able to hold off the attentions of Rory Smith and then Joey Foster. Foster then had a spin, and that just gave him that breathing space he needed to pull away. Colbecker will keep on pushing through Surtees. Is he going to get one more chance to possibly have a look up the inside? Smith looks as though he'd opened the door slightly, but I think he may well hold on. Meanwhile, speaking of holding on, Luke Cooper will do just that. He will come to the checkered flag, and on his first race back in the championship this weekend at Brands Hatch, he takes victory for Swift Cooper. Fantastic victory for Luke Cooper in race 1. Second place goes to Michael Eastwell. Third place goes to Rory Smith. Colbecker fourth, and James Clark rounds out the top 5. Then Middlehurst, Maserati, McPherson, Joey Foster recovering to 9th. And Morgan Quinn rounds out the top 10. And then Adam Quartermain 11th, crucially finishing ahead of clubman rival John Svensson 12th, and Pascal Monbaron and Scott Huntley. That was an incredibly intense first race, and there's still 2 more to go this weekend at the season finale at Brands Hatch.
Look, congratulations, lights to flag victory, but a lot of pressure from behind, all the way from the rest of 4 or 5 guys behind you.
Yeah, it was really, really difficult. I was in the best place starting on pole, converted that into the lead, and then had to really work hard to keep the lead for the whole race and the pressure the entire way.
Second place, tough racing out there with Luke, and your lap times are pretty close as well.
Yeah, it was a really close race between I think the 5-6 of us that were out there. First, big congrats to Luke. Drove a great race, and yeah, I mean, hopefully a better one tomorrow.
Well, yeah, weather could be a bit interesting tomorrow from what we're seeing on the forecast. What are you hoping for?
Could be a little bit hit and miss, I reckon. But yeah, hopefully a good day for us tomorrow. But yeah, happy with second today. A little bit lucky the way we fell into it. We were in 5th at one point, and we made a move back on Spike, and things opened up just as I passed him. It allowed me to sort of push through the second, so was fortunate in that much.
You join us now for race 2 here at Brands Hatch in the BRSCC National Formula Ford 1600 Championship with Avon tyres. Now, winning the club class, this is the class for drivers who are out there just to have a bit of fun this weekend, is John Svensson. And John, it's been a fantastic season of racing this year for you. Great to have you in the championship and winning the club class.
Yeah, that was really great. At the beginning of the season, I should do 2-3 races because I did not have the money to make more. But as the championship progressed, I see that I could have a go in the championship. So that was a goal. And when I started racing back in 1994, if I could win a championship in England, it was a dream. So I said, okay, we go for it, and I tried to do it, and I won it. So that was great, yeah.
And it's, I guess as well, this weekend we're at Brands Hatch, which is the home of the Formula Ford Festival. So there's some a kind of a spiritual significance to winning the class championship here as well.
Yes, of course. Brands Hatch is always great for Formula Ford racing, and it's really, really great.
Brilliant. Well, we wish you all the best out there for the rest of the weekend, and congratulations on your championship win.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So there we have it, club class champion John Svensson. Now the track is drying up at the moment. It has been wet this morning, which is going to make racing very exciting. It's over to our commentators to take you through all of the action.
Thanks, Lloyd. As you can see, the track is rather damp from this morning's rain, and there are the front row men based on the results of race 1 yesterday. As the cars form up, here is the grid. Luke Cooper, winner of race 1 on pole position. Alongside him, Michael Eastwell on the front row. Then Smith and Colbecker on row 2, from Clark and Middlehurst on row 3. Max Maserati and Michael McPherson start ahead of Joey Foster, with work to do from 9th after his spin at Paddock Hill Bend. And Morgan Quinn rounds out the top 10. Then Quartermain and Svensson, Monbaron and Huntley, Brown and Sharp, and Kenneth Cowie rounding out our 17-car grid. So all 3 championships have been settled, because Morgan Quinn is also rookie champion from where he sealed the deal back at Donington Park. Let's see what Foster can do from 9th and where the others can do from the front row of the grid. Lights out, and race number 2 at a damp and slippery Brands Hatch is underway. They all scrabble for traction off the line as they head down towards turn 1 for the first time, and Joey Foster immediately gets swamped from the cars behind him as he turns into Paddock Hill Bend. Here's Adam Quartermain. There is Joey Foster, not hanging around on the outside line, getting past him. That's Joel Svensson going around. Round goes the new Clubman class champion. He's sideways in the middle of the pack, but he continues on as the leaders tiptoe their way into Dridge. You've actually no idea how tricky and slippery it is. It doesn't look that wet, but even if there's a little bit of moisture on the track, anything less than full dry makes it very tricky in what are effectively tyres that are kind of all weathers, but doesn't make it any easier when it's slightly damp conditions. So back on board with Adam Quartermain. He's watching Joey Foster try to get past Max Maserati as the leaders come in towards McLaren and Clearways for the first time. Chris Middlehurst there in car number 49. He's made a great start up to 4th position already. And there behind him are two of the Cliff Dempsey Ray chassis. Spike Colbecker staring at the back of James Clark, as Jonathan Brown is towards the back of the field, having had his spin into the gravel yesterday. He's got some work to do to make his way up through the field. As up the inside into Paddock Hill Bend on the start of lap 2 goes Chris Middlehurst. Rory Smith finds the grip on the exit of the corner, pulls himself level as Michael Eastwell starts to make plans for the lead. Has a look up the inside, but Luke Cooper closes off that avenue as Rory Smith slides back up the inside into 3rd place through Druids with the more enhanced grip, and James Clark might fancy a piece of that too. Looks to the outside of Middlehurst on the run down towards Graham Hill Bend. Still couldn't make it through, so Clark just working the wheel. The reason why it's trickier out here than potentially full wet conditions is because when the circuit's fully wet or fully dry, it's easiest to know which direction you need to go with setup. When it's mixed conditions like this, or intermediate conditions if you want to use the term, very, very tricky, which means that you cannot get a true handle on exactly which direction you need to take the car. Do you soften it up for traction? Do you stiffen it up to get grip if it gets drier? You really have to make a compromise, and therefore that's why we normally say that rain can be a little bit of a performance leveler, because sometimes some drivers will go the wrong way on setup and strategy, and others will actually go the right way. So lots to think about here. It may not be raining at the moment, but doesn't mean these tyres aren't slipping and sliding enough too much. Lots of sideways action on the exit of Paddock Hill Bend there. At least 3 cars losing the back end. Back from Druids once again. Cooper still leads the way from Eastwell. The top 2 are starting to pull away a little bit, as we now look at James Clark staring at the back of Chris Middlehurst. You can see that is almost a karting technique. You turn the car in, and the car will understeer for the first part of the corner, but then as soon as it gets grip, the front end will bite and it will bring it round again. So you've got to be careful not to be too hard on the gas, otherwise you might find yourself spinning away a potential top finish. So there's Cooper and Eastwell tiptoeing their way on the wet line, or the karting line, which is away from the racing line that has all the rubber. Because of course, if you add water to rubber, it becomes very slippery, and because of that, it means that you lose grip. So you go for anywhere on the circuit that doesn't have rubber, and that's of course off the racing line. Chris Middlehurst in contention with the 2 Cliff Dempsey cars at the front of the field. James Clark in front of him. This man, Spike Colbecker, behind Chris as they come up the hill once again. They're wiggling their way out of Paddock Hill Bend as Joey Foster in the background almost goes back into the gravel trap and almost falls foul of Paddock Hill Bend for the 2nd time this weekend. He was very lucky to get out of that. And now he's battling his way with Michael McPherson in the background. Here he is on board with the man from Cornwall. It now means that Joey Foster's back up into 4th place. James Clark now staring at the back of the Furman chassis, wondering what could have been. He sits back in 5th place. The next target for Foster is going to be Rory Smith, who had a bit of a battle with in race 1. Into Druids again, top 5 altogether. Spike Colbeck is trying to keep with them in 6th position. Down the hill once again. From you can see Eastwell coming up the threat from Luke Cooper, so Eastwell would dearly love to add another victory to his tally, because he has won so far the race in all the weekends he's entered up to this point. Kyrgyzstan was his first race back in the championship for around 6 months. As Joey Foster goes off the road, Joey Foster makes another rare mistake off the road as he goes. Almost loses the back end of the car, but continues on. And now he's under threat from the young American Spike Colbecker, who's going to give him a fair going over in these last few laps. Down the pit straight once again. There is your race leader, Michael Eastwell, in the Kevin Mills prepared Spectrum. Here comes Rory Smith battling away with James Clark, and Clark looks down the outside line of Paddock Hill Bend, looking for the move. They almost touch wheels, but Clark's got better traction off the exit of the corner, and he may well get this done if he can hold on through Druids. Here they come, into Druids Bend they go. Round the outside goes Clark, and almost straight on goes Joey Foster, trying a little too hard to try and keep up with the cars in front. and all that's done is put him under threat from Colbecker once again, and I think Colbecker's got back through. So James Clark then still working away, big tail slide on the exit of Graham Hill Bend, still fighting for traction. It's not really raining out there, but it's all the moisture on the circuit that's causing the problems. Turn their way through the left-hander at Surtees, back into McLaren once again. There's not long left in the race, and Cooper is now hassling the gearbox of Eastwell as they turn through Clark Curve. Look at them, they're tiptoeing through clearways up through Clark Corner. They really aren't confident for grip through that corner. It might be one of the last corners to dry up when it gets to drier conditions, as Cooper now starts making designs for the lead. Into Paddock Hill Bend they come once again. Back on board with Cooper, and once again, taking that wide line has a risk, because if you make a mistake and get a little twitch of oversteer, which pushes the car wide, all you've got on the left-hand side is a tiny piece of very slippery runoff curb, or AstroTurf on the outside, and then a big gravel trap. So once you get the wings of the gravel trap, usually it seems to just drag you in. Unfortunately, it can be the end of the race pretty prematurely. Smith there, keeping on the tail of Luke Cooper, applying the pressure to both of the cars in front. Come up through Surtees again, still the top three in the line. Now up towards Clearways and up through Clark for another time. We've still got a couple of laps to go in this race. Foster now back on the tail of Clark. This is for fourth position. After he had his little mishap, looks like Colbecker has dropped back significantly. As onto the pit straight to end another lap. Onto the last lap of the race comes Luke Cooper. This could be his best chance to possibly get the victory if he can find a way around Michael Eastwell. Again, takes the wide line through Paddock Hill Bend, looking for the increased grip on the edge of the circuit. But Eastwell has enough punch off the corner to hold on. And now they head back into Druids, and Michael Eastwell certainly making his presence felt in the National Championship ever since he came back at Kirkistown. Rory Smith holding on in third place, banking more valuable points towards the championship. Into Graham Hill Bend. Turn of the wheel through the left-hander. Now run down Cooper Straight. Behind the pits towards Surtees for the last time. It's been a very topsy-turvy race. Lots of talking points, including the safety car. This man, Michael Eastwell, certainly has adapted back to life in National Formula Fords incredibly quickly. He tiptoes his way through Clark Curve just ahead of Cooper and Smith. And he won his first race back in Kirkistan. He won at Silverstone. He's going to keep up his 100% record of winning at every round he's competed at, because Michael Eastwell does win race 2 here at Brands Hatch in the National Formula Fords. Holding off Luke Cooper for second place, Rory Smith takes third. James Clark and Joey Foster round out the top 5 from Spike Colbecker. An impressive 7th for Kenneth Cowie. Then Jamie Sharp, Morgan Quinn, and a recovering Jonathan Brown in 10th. Pascal Monbauer in 11th, and Quartermain, McPherson and Huntley in the 3 retirements at the bottom. An incredible race in tricky conditions, and with the reverse grid coming up, it's not over just yet.
Congratulations on your win. Fantastic drive out there. Very slippery towards the end, though.
Yeah, really tough conditions. Conditions that I really like, though. Since karting, I've always really enjoyed sort of changing conditions, and it was certainly that, especially the last few laps. The rain started coming down a bit more, and we'd gone towards a bit more of a dry setup, so it was a little bit tricky, but I think the guys behind had gone a similar way. So, I mean, Luke and Rory applied pressure throughout the whole race, and a really good one for us. So a massive thanks to the Get Mills Racing team. Absolutely nailed the setup, and yeah, huge thanks to the guys.
Luke, second place from pole position, but tough battle out there, and the track was looking a bit slippy.
Yeah, it was really, really difficult conditions out there. Absolutely mega race. I got really close on the last lap, made a little bit of a mistake and lost all of the momentum. But absolutely brilliant race and really well-deserved win for Mike.
Rory, second, third place of the weekend, but really tough racing out there, and you were closing in on both the guys coming through Clearways and McLean's.
Yeah, I mean, sort of from the midpoint of the race when it started to dry out, I was really, really trying to get past Luke. And I know sort of how this place likes to dry, and it's normally at Clearways there's that inside line that starts to dry. So I was trying and waiting for it to dry up, and I knew that once it would dry up enough I'd get past him. And then of course, as you'd expect, it starts raining again. So that's unfortunate, but third place, you can't complain. So yeah, all in all, I'm quite pleased with that.
Well, it's the final race of this weekend at Brands Hatch for the BRSCC National Formula Ford 1600 Championship with Avon tyres. It's a partially reverse grid, and what that means is that runner-up in the championship, Spike Colbecker, is starting on pole position. Spike, pole position for this race. The first two races this weekend have been quite interesting, especially with the changing conditions. What can you do?
Well, I think with the experience at this track, we should be able to do a pretty good race this race. It's back to a dry race. We had the pace yesterday in the dry to win the race, but got stuck behind a car and really couldn't get around. Got a bit unlucky, and then earlier today got a bit unlucky as well, and dropped back from the pack from some contact.
So I guess you're hoping to make a clean breakaway on the first lap and just let all the carnage happen behind you.
Yeah, it's definitely drying off, so you get off that dry line and you're going to start skating, so I'll just put my head down and drive as hard as I can.
Well, we wish you all the best of luck out there, Spike, and hopefully we'll be speaking to you at the end of the race. Brilliant. There we go. It's over to Scott in the commentary box to take you through all of the race action.
The final race of an incredible National Formula Ford season is about to get underway, and the reverse grid does indeed see Spike Colbecker on pole position alongside Joey Foster, with James Clark and Rory Smith on the second row, Luke Cooper and Michael Eastwell the race winners on row 3, then Cowie and Sharp, Quinn and Brown rounding out the top 10. Pascal Monbaron is top clubman driver ahead of Adam Quartermain and Micah McPherson, then Huntley, Middlehurst, Svensson and Maserati looking to make up places from the back of the grid. It's been an unbelievable year of racing in the National Formula Fords, and we're going to round it off here with the perfect preview once again to the Formula Ford Festival, who is all set to take victory in the final race of 2019 before the big end-of-season races. On board with Rory Smith, watch the lights as they go out, and the final race is underway for the season. It's a good start from the second row of the grid from James Clark, pulling alongside Joey Foster. Also trying to get into the mix is Rory Smith, and he goes up the inside of Joey Foster, as Foster takes the outside line through Paddock Hill Bend, but it is Spike Colbecker from pole position who leads the way up the hill towards Druids for the first time. So Colbecker leads the way. Clark in second place, Foster in third, Smith in fourth place. Some drivers towards the back trying to make up places, including Chris Middlehurst towards the rear. Here's Jonathan Brown's view. Started in the top 10 after he had some spins and not the best of luck so far this weekend, but he is back hopefully where he should be by the end of the race. He's chasing down Morgan Quinn on this opening lap as they come through Surtees for the first time. So Colbecker leads the way. Under pressure from two-time festival winner Joey Foster is James Clark in second place. There goes Morgan Quinn looking around the outside of Jonathan Brown, who's just got past him. So the two Irish drivers battling amongst each other for the final top 10 places. And the pit straight come Foster and Smith. Foster takes a quick glance at his mirrors, looks for where Smith is, but looks at his left-hand mirror, discovers he's actually pulling alongside to his right. So as they come up the hill, in this battle for fourth place in the early stages, small lock up from Clark as he turns into the apex of Druids. Colbecker tries to pull away at the front of the field. Joey Foster keeping the wheel tracks of James Clark. And Joey Foster, of course, very experienced. He's raced over in America, he's raced Formula 3, he's raced in sports cars and sports prototype racing, even British GT. But he always loves coming back to Formula Ford and trying his hand at one of his favourite forms of racing. And he always comes back mainly for the big events, the Formula Ford Festival and the Walter Hayes Trophy. And plenty of these drivers, we're sure, contesting both, but hopefully quite a few of our national contenders appearing in the festival in a few weeks' time. Meanwhile, the scrap is on for second, third and fourth for James Clark. Now has Joey Foster looking to the outside line, looking for the high, wide and handsome run into Paddock Hill Bend, but he slides wide again. So Paddock Hill Bend is once more the bugbear corner for Joey Foster, because back through goes James Clark, and also Rory Smith takes advantage. And now look at everyone stacking up behind. Eastwell, Cooper and Jamie Sharp are all in the mix as well. You can throw in Jonathan Brown too, as he's on the back of this quartet for what has now become fourth or fifth position. Down the back straight towards Surtees once more. And Brown is keeping this lot in touch as they come into the left-handers. So Foster, a little shaky through Paddock, but hopefully by the end of this race he could have solved his little queries through there. As Jamie Sharp keeps on the tail of Michael Eastwell through Clark Curve as they come to complete yet another lap. You can see that's the car in second place, James Clark, because Spike Colbecker has driven up the road by a couple of seconds already, so taking full advantage of all the battling behind him and the clear track in front. But there you can see just in the distance at the top of the shot, the small white speck there is Spike Colbecker going through the shot. So pulling away pretty substantially as Smith goes into second place past Clark before Druids. There goes Jamie Sharp under threat from Jonathan Brown to come back into Graham Hill Bend once again through the left-hander. Down the back straight towards Surtees. Foster keeping Clark in tow here. And I remember James Clark again. I know we keep on saying it, but he still is waiting for that first National Formula Ford victory. He's going to have to pull something very special in this last race to bring it all together. He's going to have to get past Smith first, and then, of course, set off after his teammate, Spike Kohlbecker, in the lead by a couple of seconds already in these early stages of this final 15-minute race of the 2019 Avon Tyres National Formula Ford Championship. Foster on board with the Cornishman up the hill. But still can't find a way through. No troubles at the Paddock Hill bend that time, as again Brown swarming all over the rear of James Sharp, but even trying to squeeze up the inside on the exit of Paddock Hill bend. He's tried that several times now, and it just isn't working because James Clark is constantly aware of it as Brown continues his own pursuit of Jamie Sharp. So everyone's sort of just pairing off at the moment in their own separate battles. Rory Smith running up the road to hold on to second place, a la the race leader Kohlbecker in first position. But you've got battles on for third, battles on for fifth, and battles on for seventh place as well. So lots going on in the field. Brown grabs another gear and once again tries the outside line down towards Paddock Hill Bend. He draws level with the Van Diemen chassis into Paddock. But once again, Sharp holds his line, takes the inside line, but runs wide on the exit. And that was the perfect undercut for Jonathan Brown. And here's the view Jamie Sharp now has, staring at the gearbox of the Cliff Dempsey prepared Ray chassis. So out through the right-hander of Druids. Now Jamie Sharp is down a place behind Jonathan Brown. I wonder, the pace that Jonathan Brown may well have underneath him, I wonder if that could be a sign that he could potentially start to catch the cars in front. Albeit if they continue to battle, because you can see here that the scrap is on for third, fourth, fifth and sixth. Rory Smith, Joey Foster, Luke Cooper and Michael Eastwell. There's Michael. And the number 92 Cancer Research UK logoed Kevin Mills racing machine. And again, we've got four different types of chassis. We've got in third place the Cliff Dempsey Ray, fourth place the Don Harben run Furman chassis, fifth position is the Swift Cooper chassis, and you've got the Kevin Mills Spectrum in the mix as well. So once again proving, to a certain extent, it doesn't really matter what chassis you have. Some circuits will favour some chassis over others, and vice versa. But it's all down to driver skill. That's why Formula Ford is still a very, very important category. And a lot of top drivers do attribute all the lessons they've learned for car setup and car control and learning how to handle a car purely on mechanical grip. They attribute it mainly, if not entirely, down to Formula Ford and the lessons they learnt there. There's a quote from Mark Larkham, who has raced in Australia, who did say there's quite a lot of things which Formula Ford teaches you that other categories just can't. And it's proving its worth right here once again. Jonathan Brown hasn't quite shaken off the attentions of Jamie Sharp yet. He managed to get through just on the exit here of Paddock Hill Bend a couple of laps ago, but since then Sharp has found enough pace to tag onto the rear of the Irishman. So while it looked as though Brown had quite a lot more pace than Sharp, as I say that, he is starting to pull away now on the exit of the corners. Not getting away as quickly as his pace initially before he passed him might have suggested. Short Cooper straight into Surtees. It's great to watch these Formula Fords with the back end hanging out slightly and the car just twitching around as it looks for grip corner by corner. Jamie Sharp certainly still enjoying his time in Formula Ford and learning all the time as he carries on racing. Back to our scrap for third, fourth, fifth and sixth. And still, James Clark holds the way from Joey Foster in fourth position. He's coming under threat from Cooper in fifth. Eastwell keeping a watching brief in sixth place. How long will it be until Jonathan Brown, who's just there going through the bottom of the shot, be on the back of these guys in front of him? Back on board with Foster, taking that nice tight line, carrying as much speed as possible through Graham Hill Bend to fire him out the other side on the run towards the left-hander at Surtees. Now here's Rory Smith through the complex, and he's actually caught catching Spike Kohlbecker hand over fist. So we thought Spike Kohlbecker had quite an insurmountable lead, but we've been proven wrong, because Rory Smith has pulled away from the cars behind him and severely caught up to the back of the young American. So maybe a win in the last race of the weekend and of the championship for Spike Kohlbecker might not necessarily be guaranteed just yet, because Rory Smith might have some other words about that. up the hill, under the bridge, and into Surtees once again. Still no change in that fight for third place. Still, James Clark holds the way. Here's the view that Spike Colbecker has, but he's going to have to start looking in his mirrors because he'll see an equally red and white chassis behind him creeping up in his efforts to steal the lead, and that will be Rory Smith. So Colbecker shows everyone else the way through Surtees, up through Clark Curve again, and still Eastwell can't seem to find a way around Cooper, who seems to be more fixated on the rear of Joey Foster's car and getting past him for position, as the leaders come down the pit straight back towards Paddock Hill Bend, and the pace that Rory Smith has been setting really has caught up with Spike Colbecker, because that gap was of several seconds. It's now come down to almost nothing. Down into Druids once again. And so Rory Smith, the former Northern front runner, still doing everything he needs to maintain the place. He's pulled away from that gap of cars he was battling with in the early stages, and now he's got a real chance of possibly bookending the season by taking a win in the first and possibly the last race of the season. That would be quite a stat, wouldn't it? To be the first and last winner of the season. And Spike Colbecker looks for another victory to round off what for him has been, quite frankly, a very incredible and very fruitful season of racing in the UK. He's also one of the 6 drivers contending for the Team USA scholarship, which would mean if he does win that, he'll be back here in about a month's time for the Formula Ford Festival as a Team USA scholarship driver, once again driving a car prepared by Cliff Dempsey. That will certainly put him at quite an advantage, and if he does compete the festival, I'm sure that he'll be in good stead if he can win this race and go into it off the back of a very strong performance in this final race of the season. Down the back straight, up towards Surtees once again. There's not long left in the season to go, only a couple more laps left to finish off the 2019 season. Rory Smith would dearly love to pick up a victory to potentially go ahead and put him into a position where he could go to the festival as one of the guys to watch out for. There are plenty of top drivers in the field who will certainly play a factor in next month's Blue Riband BRSCC event. As they come back down the pit straight and they plunge into Paddock Hill Bend once more. This is the main battle on track for the lead. Spike Colbecker in the Cliff Dempsey prepared Ray chassis, ahead of the BM Racing Medina Sport chassis driven by Rory Smith. The two of them back through Druids once again. Further back in the field, Jonathan Brown has caught Michael Eastwell, so a pass could be on the cards here for Michael if he plays his cards right. Back into the left-hander at Graham Hill Bend. These two are dropping away just a little bit as the leaders come back into Surtees once more. They've got quite a march on the rest of the runners in this field. And Colbecker again taking a tighter run through Clark Curve initially because he's not comfortable taking the traditional racing line and allowing Smith to get the better exit and the toe down the pit straight. Here they come towards the start and finish line to complete another lap, and still Colbecker maintains the advantage. Is Smith going to possibly try and pull the pin and go for a move before the last lap? The same could be happening for Jonathan Brown, and he's on the gearbox of Michael Eastwell. Still 3rd, 4th and 5th for Clark, Foster and Cooper, so no change in the rest of the top 5, but P6 downwards could certainly have a bit of a switch around, as could the battle for the lead. Rory Smith, a little bit of dirt on his camera, so we can't quite see Spike Colbecker all that clearly, but he certainly will through the visor of his helmet as they come up through Surtees again. And Spike Colbecker, for the first time in this race at all, is coming under some substantial pressure, but again, he's got lots of experience racing these kind of cars in Canada, in New Zealand, and now a full season in the UK. He knows these cars almost inside out, and this form of racing inside out, and he really is using every trick and every bit of knowledge he's got. On to the last lap of the season. Is Rory Smith going to possibly make a move for the lead here into Paddock Hill Bend? Not quite getting through, and again, Colbecker's not safe. He has to go to the inside line to defend, but the outside line's equally prominent. In the background, there's some move going on, possibly between, looks like Joey Foster and Luke Cooper, as Smith continues to hound and harry the back of Spike Colbecker's Ray chassis into Graham Hill Bend for the last time. A big twitch of oversteer, but he's got a good run down Cooper Straight. Is there a chance to get through? He looks one way, then the other, but Colbecker making his car the widest Ray chassis in the venue. Through Surtees, through McLaren, into clearways for the final time. It's been a wonderful season of Formula Ford racing, and it will end, as it started, with a very close run finish to Milan. Up to the checkered flag through Cart Curve. Spike Colbecker clinches second in the championship and rounds off 2019 with victory in the final race of the season from Rory Smith in second place. James Clark holds on to the final podium spot in third. Then Foster, Cooper, Eastwell, Sharp, Brown, Middlehurst and Quinn round out the top 10. And then the rest of the finishers, McPherson, Maserati, Quartermain, Huntley and Monbaron. Thank you so much to everyone who has watched the highlights throughout the season. We hope you join us for more action in 2020. But for now, enjoy the scenes as our final winner of the season is Spike Colbecker for the 2019 Avon Tyres National Formula Ford Championship.
Spike, congratulations on your win. We said before the race that this was going to be very tricky dependent upon the conditions, but you kept ahead of the pressure, really.
Yeah, I mean, I just put my head down at the beginning, got a really good start, and I was really pushing. It's just my last race to the Formula Ford, and it meant a lot to win it, and especially at Brands. Kind of just shows what people I can do, and I'm very proud of myself, and I'm happy for the team, and I'm very thankful for Cliff and this whole season, and Michelle. They're the best team here, so I'm very thankful.
3 podiums out of the 3 races, and you managed to make a further step up this time onto second place. It's not a bad way to end the season.
No, not at all. I mean, obviously I would have liked the win, but I think we showed everyone out there that we had the quickest car and sort of proved the point. It was just difficult to get past Spike at the end, and he did a good job of defending, so fair play to him. But yeah, I mean, second place, another podium, I can't complain at all.
James, well done on your 3rd place. Tough racing out there, particularly as conditions changed towards the end.
Yeah, the racing was good, so it's all good. It was tricky. It wasn't as tricky as the previous race, where it went from wet to dry to wet again, but no, it's still a bit slippy in some areas, so you just have to be a bit cautious.